This is BA Nagesh, retired additional secretary and team IAS network. So today, the topic of discussion today is on electoral reforms. Electoral reforms forms a part of General Studies 2 governance. Of course, this is also there in political science and international relations, paper 1, section B. So in electoral reforms GS2 governance, we see the question for discussion today. NOTA, that is none of the above option, which was inserted in the to help the voter have a choice of his own. NOTA tends to be a toothless tiger and a symbolic expression of resentment and dissatisfaction. Read the question once again. NOTA tends to be a toothless tiger and a symbolic expression of resentment and dissatisfaction. In the light of the statement, examine the relevance of NOTA. So what is NOTA? NOTA was electoral reform. So in the voter has got a choice of expressing his opinion. So he may not like any of the candidates fielded by the political party, so he chooses to press the NOTA button. So background. Besides India, the NOTA option exists in more than 12 countries. See, the proposal of the Election Commission to introduce NOTA was hanging fire for a very long time, and the government also was not very keen on introducing this electoral measure in spite of the recommendations of the Election Commission. 2013, in PUCL versus Union of India, the Supreme Court held that NOTA is a critical part of democracy. Expressing one's resentment at the list of candidates put up by the political parties, the Supreme Court held NOTA to be a critical part of democracy. Further, it says, see, just as how the right to vote is a statutory right, the right to reject is a fundamental right of speech and expression. So, Article 19 of the fundamental rights, you have the right to freedom of speech and expression. Now, the Supreme Court says the right to reject is a fundamental right of the speech and expression. Just as how you have got the right to express yourself, you have also the fundamental right to reject. So this is the background for introducing NOTA in the elections. Arguments in favor of NOTA. The first important argument is that candidates with integrity will be fielded. Parties will henceforth field only serious candidates and who will be liked by the electorate. So people just entering it just for the heck of it will be eliminated. Voting for desired candidates. So once the proper candidates are screened by the political parties and they come to contest the polls, obviously the electorate will vote for the desired candidates. Now the main principle of NOTA is you are expressing resentment anonymously than boycotting polls outright. See what happens? Boycotting polls is a dangerous phenomenon. So in this NOTA option, what is happening is you are not boycotting the polls. You are only expressing your resentment. You are saying you are not satisfied. You are not satisfied with the list of candidates put up by the electoral parties who are standing for elections. You are just pressing the NOTA button. Now, relevancy of the NOTA principle. See, in 2014 and 2019, NOTA accounted for 1.8% and 1.04% respectively. Now, we are not saying that NOTA has prevented corrupt candidates from coming back to power, and NOTA has it is just a reform. I'm not saying it is a negative vote. NOTA is a reform desire for change. So see the lower percentages exercised in the one in 2014 and 2019 general elections. Another feature which we have noticed is reserved and tribal constituencies and those districts affected by the left-wing extremism, that is the red corridor districts, have a high propensity to use NOTA. So in these reserved and tribal constituencies and red corridor districts, the electorate is very sensitive. They want the proper candidates to be fielded. They express their resentment against the establishment by pressing NOTA. Now the NOTA option has been removed from the Rajya Sabha and Legislative Council elections. NOTA is a part of systemic reforms. So what do I mean by systemic reforms? It means along with NOTA, you'll have to have other important reforms which will be added to this. Then only the question of electoral reforms gains importance or gains completion. Some scholars suggest in addition to NOTA, the election commission should have considered a provision called right to recall. See, right to recall is there in Switzerland. It's a democratic device. So if you're not satisfied with the candidate who has been elected, if he is not working, you go for the option of right to recall. Of course, it is too premature and it is not introduced in our system. Now, if you see the working of the electoral system, NOTA provision has not influenced political parties to field better candidates. They're going ahead with whoever they want to. Obviously, when I say better candidates, I mean again the influence of money, muscle power, all this is playing a role in the selection of candidates. So NOTA would be a very low option for them. Then what if I see the trend of the observation of NOTA, what the Supreme Court observed? It said NOTA is a systemic change. Political parties will be forced to accept the will of the people and field candidates known for their integrity. That is in the course of time. When the NOTA percentage increases, it would mean parties are thinking of serious candidates. If the NOTA percentage goes on increasing, the parties will have to do a rethink on selection of candidates. Suppose there is a trend of decreasing use of NOTA. Suppose the NOTA phenomenon, the NOTA option is not being used with much frequency. It means that the political system has achieved the desired levels of cleansing. So these are the observations of the Supreme Court on the relevancy of the none of the above option. Now, when we see the question says NOTA tends to be a toothless tiger and a symbolic expression of resentment and dissatisfaction. Examine the relevance of NOTA. We have examined the relevance of NOTA. There's one final thing which we would like to discuss. See, in certain states in the US, they also have this option, but it is not mentioned as none of the above. I mean the rejection is not expressed at the bottom, rather it is at the top. So in the US model, the first option is none of the below. Whereas in India, we have kept the option at the end saying none of the above. So why not we adopt the US model, which lists option 1 as none of the below? I mean, that would make it would make so much of difference instead of going for the conventional thing of keeping this option in the end and listing it as none of the above. So electoral reforms, see, apart from this NOTA option, the other systemic reforms are required. like we should have a responsible opposition. Then the selection of candidates. How do we remove the the influence of muscle power, money power, and they added the feature of criminalization of politics. Criminalization of politics, it is a separate topic by itself. So in this particular question, we just show how it was the Supreme Court's intervention in the PUCL versus Union of India, which brought in the NOTA principle and which said NOTA should be incorporated in the choice of the electorate, and how the Supreme Court has said right to speech and expression includes the right to reject. So the right to reject is a fundamental right. Right to vote is a statutory right. Then we spoke of why NOTA should be there. So you will get better candidates, candidates with integrity. It would mean the electorate will press for people who deliver rather than getting people who would like to just come and go, who would not like to contribute anything. Then we also made some major observations on the how the NOTA is working and how it has been removed from the Rajya Sabha and Legislative Council elections. Finally, we concluded by observing that the more and more use of NOTA would mean political parties will see it as a wake-up call and would field candidates who will perform, will field candidates who will deliver, and would be liked by the electorate. On the contrary, if the NOTA decreasing use of NOTA would mean reforms are taking place slowly and the political system is achieving the level of cleansing. Conclude the answer with adoption of the US model. See, our option, the NOTA option is placed at the bottom of the voting machine. So what the US model says, the US model puts the rejection on top, none of the below. Whereas we have placed it as none of the above. We have placed it at the last, where the US model keeps it in the first. So this is in brief a discussion on electoral reforms. In electoral reforms, which is a part of general studies governance, we have taken just one particular unit in electoral reforms, that is the critical analysis of the NOTA option in the elections. So this is an important topic in governance, and the what we have discussed will suffice for a 200-word note. Thank you.